Good. Welcome to the Half Hour to Health. Now tonight we're talking about foot health. This is a really important subject because I have two. I have a right and a left. No, I'm kidding. But when you look at it, because I mean, healthy feet, the number one fear of people as we age is loss of mobility, loss of function. And if you know that feet are not only vital, but if they work and they're cushions, your body's glided through. If they don't work, you're going to talk unstable pelvis, difficult menstrual cycles, bowel and bladder problems. And this is all from the feet. I like Da Vinci when he said it's a masterpiece of engineering. And he's right. It truly is. Oh. Now, it's complicated. But what's stronger, a foot or a block of concrete?
You say a foot?
You were right when you say a foot, yeah. Because in martial arts, you can actually kick something, you could break concrete, you could break a board, you could break anything. And so you got this beautiful, delicate design. We're talking over 26 bones, 100 ligaments and muscles, and it's so flexible that you could actually stand on the toes that strong. You could break a board, but I mean, the design is just phenomenal. What's more important, though, is how it's connected. And this is more important than you could possibly imagine. When we look at this, the foot has 4 arches. 2 run lengthways, 2 run crossways. So it's a coiled spring, and it does that. It's it is a coiled spring. On the bottom of this foot that runs from the top of the toes or the ball of the foot back to the heel, there's a really tough, it looks almost like leather, kind of like a belt almost, but very, very thin. It's so strong that you could actually grab it and pick up an entire cadaver with it. I know, I taught human dissection for 8 years, so this, don't throw up yet. Okay, but it's hugely strong, and it's on the bottom of the foot, and we call that the plantar surface. And it's fascia, so it's the plantar fascia. Okay, now if that inflames, it's plantar fasciitis. Oh yeah, good, okay. So we could just say the bottom of the foot's inflamed, but when you look at it, it's really important that you understand that it's like a safety mechanism. So it stops the foot from flattening out. So what's going to cause plantar fasciitis? Okay, it means the weak muscles of the foot or the arches of the foot are missing. If the arches of the foot are missing, it's going to start to flatten out, and that's going to inflame. Okay, does that make sense? So we got to look at this. And now I've had patients coming in, and they say, oh yeah, my doctor shot me with cortisone, and the pain went right away. Okay, you know, you're putting stuff in there that's going to weaken the joints, destroy the joint cartilage, and for temporary relief, does cortisone shots increase the arches? No. This guy should be fired. But this is standard medical care. It's like insane. So the way to fix plantar fasciitis is to restore the intrinsic muscles of the foot. And you've got muscles inside the foot that operate the foot, muscles outside of the foot that operate it. So we want to build the muscles inside of the foot. So the question is, how do you build them up? You want to know? Okay. No, but don't buy yet, shoppers. Okay, so first, when we look at this, on the back of the calf, see, this is the foot. It's the furthest point away from the heart. So blood's going to pool there. And have you ever heard that if you stand at attention and lock your legs, you might pass out? And that if you stand at attention and you bend your legs a little bit, you're going to be okay? That's because now I'm weaving, okay? But if your legs are bent, you're weaving just a little bit. What that means is that the muscles that support the body in this leg are going to contract and relax, contract and relax, contract and relax. Inside of that muscle is a pump. It's called the soleus. And what's brilliant is this pump allows the foot to drain. So if you have any problem with the foot not being able to flex, this pump's not going to work right. And if the pump doesn't work right, there's going to be loss of blood supply and oxygen. If there's loss of blood supply and oxygen, guess what happens to the intrinsic muscles of the foot? It weakens it and flattens it out. Isn't that interesting? I know, but then still, when you look at this, you've got muscles on the front of it as well. Now, normally, if you're just walking, okay, the normal strength ratio of the calf is 10-1, or the muscles on the back of the calf are 10 times stronger than the muscles on the front. Now let's say that you're a toe walker, a dancer. Let's say that you have that spring in the step. You know, you ever see a teenager walk? You know, they got kind of an attitude. Okay. Well, that's a toe walker. What that's going to do, that's going to make the back muscles, the muscles on the back half, a lot stronger than the muscles on the front. Now, is the body smart or stupid? It's really smart. Okay, so what happens is it takes this front area on the calf and it doesn't want that muscle torn. See, normal strength ratio is 10 to 1, or the muscles on the back of the leg are 10 times stronger than the muscles on the front. If they're a toe walker, if they're a tennis player, if they're a track star, if they just bounce on their feet a lot, you could have a 15 or 20 to 1 ratio. So that what the body's going to do, it's going to lay down cross-fiber adhesions on the front of this calf, and those cross-fiber adhesions can actually, and it's there to protect the muscle, but they can become so strong that they can actually cause a fracturing or splintering of that bone called shin splints. Isn't that cool? You know, didn't you always wonder where they came from? Okay, but so it's not from running on concrete. It's not from, you know, congenital. It's not from any of those. It's from a muscle imbalance. So when we look at this, to eliminate shin splints, you restore the balance of the calf, and then that restores the function of the calf, and then that restores the oxygen of the foot. Okay, got it so far? We're also talking about, because if we're looking at the health of the foot, we got to look at the health of the calf, yes? And if we look at the health of the calf, we got to look at the health of the largest joint in the body, the knee. And then you also have to look at this knee. You've got muscles on the inside, muscles on the outside that guide the action of this bone in the middle, and it's called a patella. So if those muscles are off, or if that patella is off, you're going to have altered knee function and altered foot function. It sounds complicated, but this is why it doesn't make sense to have a foot problem and look at the foot. It sure heck doesn't make sense to have a knee problem and look at the knee. It's called holistic. I know. This is like basic stuff. I mean, you know, it's obviously, if you go into the car dealer and say my steering wheel's going shaking, is he going to look at the wheel and replace the wheel, or is he going to look at the tires and the steering linkage and everything else? Same thing. If you've got a pain here, where's it from? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, because it shouldn't be there. So when we look at this, primarily we got to get the oxygen going. Okay, we've got to get the pump working on the foot, and this is what's going to be essential. If you're just sitting there, okay, having the foot go up and down, and that's all it requires, is the foot coming up, the foot going down. Now, if you want to be really fancy, put your legs a little bit away from your chair, okay, and have the right one go up and the left one go down. So alternate it, just like that. No, put the heels on the ground. So one up, one down, one up, one down. Now, why are you doing this right and left instead of not both together? Because that's called a cross-crawl mechanism. It gets both halves of the brain firing off correctly, and it'll heal the tissue faster. So anytime you can do cross-crawl where one side moves up, one side moves down, you heal it faster. And since I'm not the most patient guy in the world, I want fast results. Okay, if I wanted to take a long time to heal, I'd say do it together. Okay, you're right. I know. I just want to fix you faster. Okay, so when you look at this, it's vital. Now, there's a couple of other things you can do for the pump, but also, do the nerves that supply the foot, where do they come out of? They come out of where? Yeah, the spine, the low back. Okay, so we've got to make sure that those nerves are clear so that everything works. Now, the foot is a coiled spring. If it's not a coiled spring, and you can see this, in the mall, and it's so much fun to people watch, because when you're in the mall, normally a person should glide. They should walk, okay? They should be smooth, kind of like a leopard. In the mall, if you see somebody whose foot is not a spring, they throw their legs forward, okay? Where they're throwing the hips forward. And you see this. You see them throw the legs forward just like that. And it's just like, my God. You could see this a block away, a person walking like that. You know that they've got knee problems. You know they have an unstable pelvis. You know they're not walking and gliding. So if they have an unstable pelvis and they're a female, difficult menstrual cycles. If they're a men, prostate or bowel insufficiencies, knee problems, all of this stuff and you could tell it just by walking. Now, I taught biomechanics, but anybody can see. If the person's gliding, they have healthy joint function. If they're not, if they're throwing their hips forward, you know, it's like they're trudging through sand. You know something's bad. So we have to develop it. Now, bunions. These shoes are the greatest shoes on the planet, the high-heeled shoes. Absolutely spectacular. From a man's perspective, okay, makes the calf look long, the butt stick up. It's incredible. Okay, for relationships, there's nothing like it. Mechanically, it's horrible. Okay, but we can fix that, so don't switch the high heels. Okay, I got 3 sisters that would kill me if you didn't. Okay, you can keep wearing high heels. But remember, you got that muscle on the back of the calf that has the pump in it. So if you're walking with high heels, is there good oxygen supply or horrible oxygen supply? Okay, so now any guy in here, to pay his lady back for torturing her feet like this, needs to give nightly foot massages. I know. Okay, that's pretty good for the guy perspective. Sure, man, I'll do it. You know, give me some hot oil. Okay, but that's essential because with there's loss of oxygen in there, it's going to start to weaken up. Now we got to look at bunion formation. This bone that's sticking out. Here, let me see if this thing works. Whoops. There's supposed to be a laser on this. Laser. No. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. That bone that's coming out like that, that's not a bone sticking out. What happens is the muscles inside of the foot, this muscle here should be going straight down. So it means the muscles are atrophying. And since muscle on the side is supposed to pull that toe out, what happens when that muscle weakens? It starts to bend in. So bunions only form from weak intrinsic muscles of the foot. That's it. That's the only reason. That's the sole reason that bunions form. They're not congenital. I don't care if your mom had it, your sister had it, anything else. They absolutely form only from weak intrinsic muscles of the foot. Now, have you ever heard of peripheral neuropathy? Okay, neuropathy. Okay, now doctors say a lot of stuff in Latin because it makes me sound smarter. Okay, because if I just said, this comes from a pinched nerve in the low back, you'd say, well, heck, unpinch it. Okay, but if I says, no, you have a peripheral neuropathy of the foot, say, damn, give me a drug for that. Okay, because obviously a pinched nerve can't be fixed by a drug, right? I know, so let's give you a diagnosis. Okay, so the way to fix this, restore the nerve supply to the foot, and then you have to use the foot. Okay, by using the foot, it can't be utilized in a shoe. It has to be used. Okay, I mean used. So now let's say that you're walking, and we always recommend that walk in the grass or hard sand or dirt because it gives you full range of motion and flexibility. But let's say that it's winter time or it's cold outside. Play with your toes. Put marbles on the ground. Put a towel on the ground. Draw the towel towards you. Curl the toes. Open up the toes. Use them as much as you can. One of the beauty of having healthy shoes that you can actually flex and bend and twist your foot, because the foot doesn't work just like it would if you have a shoe. It bends and turns and flexes. And so the more playtime that you can do with your toes, the more fun it is. I mean, pick up stuff. Now, claw foot, okay, again, the shoes are fantastic. Don't ever stop wearing them, okay? We can fix it, and the claw foot doesn't come from being in shoes like this. It comes from not healthy movement of the foot, because the foot's designed to be flexed and bend and turn and twist. If you have these short tendons, guess how you fix it? You use it. You take the shoe off, you walk barefoot in the grass, dirt, or sand. You have to restore the nerve supply to the foot. Now, do you think a foot like this has healthy oxygen or poor oxygen? Poor. Okay, good. So do you want to check the pump in the back of the leg? Absolutely. Do you think this has healthy nerve supply to the intrinsic muscles of the foot, the muscles inside of the foot, or do you think it has poor oxygen supply? Poor oxygen supply. Okay, good. So we got to check the nerves in the back, check the pelvis, check the calf, and have the person walk in grass, dirt, or sand. I mean, it seems too simple. But now also, when we're fixing this, when we're fixing that, do you think maybe that person might have a problem with arterial supply? Yeah. Yeah, probably, because I mean, if they're nowadays, let's say if they've had a poor foot like that, they've probably taken non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil, Motrin, ibuprofen. All of those close down arteries, they cause lung problems. So would you want to get her on, say, oh, I don't know, 30 to 60 ounces of vegetable juice a day to clean the arteries? I know. You know, it seems like too simple, but it's just like, wow, okay, we clean the arteries, we get the nerve supply, and we tell them to work the foot. Now, if this person is 50 years old, okay, how old is the foot?
50.
Say like 11 months old. If the person is 50 years old, how old is the foot? Say 11 months old. You're right. Oh my gosh. Okay, now, on my birth certificate it says I'm 54. Or no, 53. 53. I forget. It was a long time ago and I was really young, okay? Okay, but when you look at it, okay, my skin's only 28 days old. My blood is about 120 days old. My bones are about 8 to 11 months old. So, and my attitude is obviously that of a teenager. So my attitude is the oldest thing I got. But when you look at this, the joints in that person are only about 11 months old. So can you eliminate a bone spur? Yes. Can you regrow joints? Absolutely. We've got a gal that comes in. She's in her mid-70s in the morning. She used to have horrible, I mean, just look like witch's feet. You know, the toe was coming in. The toes are all gnarled up. And I said, no, we can fix them. I can wear, you know, and she was all excited to wear sandals someday. You know, about a year and a half later, she's got beautiful looking feet. She's couldn't be happier. Now the foot on a block stretch. We give this exercise, and all it takes is a simple little block. Your heel's on the ground, and you're bending your knee. It's that simple. Because what does this do? This actually strengthens the calf and allows for normal function. If you're wearing high heels, God bless you, okay? But do you need to do this exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're wearing high heels, does your friend have to give you a foot massage because he's appreciating the beauty? Okay, yes, he does. Every guy in here, would you be willing to do it? Right. Yes, my brothers. Okay. So when we look at this, and we're going to answer questions afterwards. Flat feet. Now, how many people think that this is congenital? Okay, good. Is cancer hereditary? No, cancer is not hereditary. Is diabetes hereditary? No. Okay, to be a species on this planet, does each successive, and this is a law of biology, each successive generation has to be stronger and a little bit better than the one before. Why? Because if each generation got weaker, we wouldn't be here as a species. Okay, does that make sense? So each generation gets a little bit better. So it's a law of biology that each generation gets a little bit stronger, each generation is progressing, and it's called environmental adaptation or evolution or whatever you want to call it. So now, could a caveman run away from danger if he had flat feet? No. People with flat feet, do they have any missing bones or anything? No. So when we know that the arches come from healthy intrinsic muscles of the foot, what would a flat foot be? Weak intrinsic muscles of the foot. Okay, good. So can this be fixed 100% of the time or 100% of the time? Okay, good. I'm going to make it really easy. I'm going to give you the questions and the answers. Okay, so yeah, it can be fixed 100% of the time. But now here's Stupid World. This is when the Three Stooges took over. Larry, Curly, and Moe. If you have weak intrinsic muscles of the foot, do you know how to make it completely non-usable? You put a support in it, and it's called an orthotic. Now, this is where I have to confess, okay, old Catholic background. I must confess, I used to teach doctors how to cast feet. No, this is good, man. Oh, this is good, okay. You got the styrofoam cast that costs like $20. The person puts their foot in it, you bill $100 for it. And then you get the orthotic. The orthotic only costs you around $50. You can sell the orthotic for around $400. Orthotics last about 6 months to 8 months. So you got a regular customer here at almost $1,000 because they're getting 2 orthotics and new castings every year. Ka-ching, baby. It's not real ethical, but hey. Then I come up and I find out, wait a second. All of this stuff that I've been teaching is wrong because the body's designed to heal itself. You can restore the nerve supply to the foot. You can restore the intrinsic muscle of the foot, and nobody needs orthotics. Say it with me. Go! Okay. Well, you learn, and if you're ethical, you change. So the arches of the foot can be changed. The flat feet can be eliminated. So I know this is going to sound crazy, but what do you do to flat feet? Do you want to clean the arteries? Yes. Do you want to make sure the pump's working? Yeah. Do you want to check the nerve supply to the low back?
Of course.
Yeah. And then do you want to get them walking in the grass, dirt, or sand?
Yes.
I know it's the same therapy for clawfoot. I know it's the same therapy for bunions. I know. Okay. But it's the same thing. You work the thing, you get the thing working, right? It's a good design. Da Vinci said it's a good design. Athlete's foot. Now, let's say that you have a sedentary lifestyle. You're going to have less oxygen going to the foot, right? So if you have less oxygen going, is that going to be healthy tissue or weak tissue? Weak tissue, so it's going to be predisposed to infections, to fungal infections, all this other stuff. So there's a couple of things to do. Since you know that it comes from weak tissue, do you want to clean the arteries? Okay, good. Soluble fiber vegetable juice every day. Do you want to have healthy nerve supply? Yes, you do. Okay. Do you want to make sure the calf is working correctly? Yep. Do you want to make sure that they walk in the grass, dirt, or sand so they restores the... I know it's the same therapy for bunions. I know it's the same therapy. But also, now there's a couple of things to do. You can do a vinegar soak, which is 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water. You can put urea on it, okay, which actually works really good. This is what you were taught in Boy Scouts. It means when you're in the shower, urinate on your feet. It sounds gross, but it cures athlete's foot. It's phenomenal. Fresh thyme leaves, vapor rub, I mean, just cornstarch, anything. But none of these things are going to work unless you restore the oxygen to the foot. Does that make sense? Nothing's going to work until you get the calf working right, because athlete's foot it's not from a fungus. Okay? Athlete's foot comes from weak tissue. Right now on my arm, I have Pseudomonas aeruginosa. I actually have gangrene bacteria on here. Okay. So do you. Everybody does. But how come I don't have gangrene here? Is because I have healthy blood supply and nerve supply. If I was to compromise the blood supply and nerve supply and leave it here for a few days, you would see gangrene form. Okay, it would compromise my adjusting, so I don't think I'll do that. So athlete's feet fungus, say that 3 times really fast. Athlete's foot fungus only forms because of weak tissue. Okay? It's not from a fungus. You already got the fungus there. Okay, does that make more sense? Okay, so when we look at this, special purpose shoes, baby. Okay, now I rock climbed for 20 years. Anybody in here ever rock climb? The most uncomfortable shoes in the world? Yeah, absolutely horrible. Your toes are literally curled up inside of there so you could stand on pencil lead. You always carry extra shoes in your gear bag so you can walk down the mountain. These, again, specialty purpose shoes. Okay, God bless them. But if you're going to use those type of shoes, you rock climb on the ones in the middle, not the other ones. Okay. Okay, if you're going to use these specialty purpose shoes, you've got to take care of your feet afterwards. I had a yoga class in Santa Barbara, and this guy, he was a little bit nuts, but a yoga instructor in Santa Barbara, they're on the edge. He said, how many people in this class, their feet are killing them? And, third of the class raised their hands, no, you're killing your feet. I was like, dude, decaf. Okay, but it's true. So we got to take care of it. So if you're going to do this kind of stuff to your feet, you got to take care of them. Running shoes need to be changed. Now, luckily, most of the marathoners are going to no shoe supports, no heel lifts, because this right here is going to be considered an old-style shoe. Now, what they're talking about, cushion here, cushion there, that's old school. This is the new shoe that marathoners are going to. They're finding out that the shoe or the foot is a beautiful design. I know it's weird to finally get appreciation for it, but it doesn't flex like this, okay? So a shoe makes your foot move that direction. It bends, turns, twists, and flex. So this is the absolute best shoe in the world to wear. And you'll find out it may take a couple of weeks to get used to it because you're not used to walking. But when you realize that the foot is a spring, and you restore the calf, you restore the nerve supply, and you start walking correctly. It may take a couple of weeks, maybe even a month to get used to using this. It works fantastically well. Trust me, I know. I'm on my feet about 16 hours a day, so it's ideal. The feet are also like a really cool gauge. Since it's so far away, I know I'm incredibly tall, it's so far away, way down there, okay, that if you have toxic blood, it's going to show up there first. So if you have nail fungus, you've got unhealthy blood. If you've got diabetes, it's going to show up there. Gout's going to show up there. Urea crystals are going to form in the joint. So healthy feet are also going to denote the health of the entire body. And it's brilliant because when you start looking at toes like this, you can go in there and say, does this person have healthy blood or sick blood? Sick blood. So how do you clean the blood? You get them on soluble fiber, between 60 and 100 ounces of vegetable juice a day. You get them off of anything that's going to inflame the system. Anybody that has toes like this, should we check their intestinal tract? Yes or yes? So they might have leaky gut. They might have a history of antibiotic use. So in order to have healthy feet, should you check the digestive tract? I know. It's called holistic, but isn't it cool that everything adds on to the others? I mean, so you can't really separate feet without looking at the nerve supply to the feet. You can't look at the nerve supply without looking at the calf. You can't look at the calf without looking at the quadriceps. You can't look at any of that stuff until you look at the digestion, and then you got to look at the arterial system. It's called holistic. It's just common sense. When the world that we have separates it into podiatry because you got a foot problem, and then you go to the gastroenterologist who gives you an antibiotic, and he doesn't realize he's causing foot fungus. Okay, that's a stupid system. Yeah, only chiropractors know this, okay? It's true. This is not food. I mean, right now I'm just finishing up a book on fibromyalgia, and I got to look in there, and I'm looking at neurotoxins. So I got a whole chapter on neurotoxins. I mean, inside of this, there's actually things that are poisonous. They bind to pleasure sensors in your brain. Like, when you see that beautiful sailboat, well, maybe not you guys, but okay, when I see a beautiful sailboat, just, oh God, my heart, baby, come here. That's a pleasure sensor in my brain. What they're doing with this food, they're mixing it with a huge amount of preservatives. They're taking the absolute worst cut of meat. They're making it impervious to bacteria, so it has a shelf life of decades. They roll it in genetically modified breadcrumbs, and then they sprinkle a neurotoxin on it. I know. Yum. Well, the neurotoxin, though, it actually attaches to the pleasure sensor. So this absolute garbage, when you fry it in genetically modified oil, and it's chicken nugget I'm describing, by the way. Okay, when you fry it in there, the neurotoxin, or MSG, attaches, and so the kids go, oh my God, this is great. However, the neurotoxins in there are going to negatively affect all the joints. What joint is it going to show up first? The feet. I know. Now these are the essentials to have healthy feet. And I know it sounds too simple. You need to have good springs. So in order to have good springs, do you have to have good nerve supply or good nerve supply? Excellent. You have to have good calf function. So you have to have good calf function, good nerve supply, clean arteries. It's really, really simple. You got to balance the muscles. Foot massage, absolutely. Keep wearing the high heels. Healthy nutrition, and you got to eliminate the toxicities. It really is that simple. There's some yoga foot exercises, but it's basically the same stuff. It's putting the foot on a block like we always teach everyone. It's doing the toe curling. Do things with your toes. Pick up stuff. Put down a pen and try and pick it up with your toes. Move some marbles around. Play with the intrinsic muscles, but be barefoot as much as you can. Barefoot, particularly outside. This right here, we're looking at 3 different patients, actually 4 different patients here. Now this is the side view of the low back. That's a healthy disc, that one's crushed. This one here is a healthy disc, those 2 are crushed. I mean, you're looking at these, and these are the nerves in the low back that supply, what do they supply? The foot. And what's wild is, again, if that foot is a coiled spring, everything works right. If you don't have dorsiflexion, you start walking like this, okay? And that destabilizes the pelvis. I mean, there's so many things that lead to the foot, because if this nerve is out, the organs that it supplies are out. So if it's a woman, difficult menstrual cycles. A man, prostate and bowel and bladder issues. And if those things are out, the foot's not going to work right. Then that's going to destabilize the pelvis. it sounds complicated, but everything's connected. You can't look at the health of one aspect without looking at the health of the entire body. Does that make sense? Because it's true. It's just the medical system that we have today doesn't do that. You know, if you're depressed because your dog ran over, you go to a psychiatrist. If you have a tummy issue, you go to a gastroenterologist, even though 90% of the body's serotonin, which is vital for brain function, is produced in the gut. You know, it's a disjointed system that doesn't make sense. Oh, and by the way, all of these people, they had their disc regenerate. I mean, that's fun, because how old are the bones in these people? 8 to 11 months. I know. Isn't it cool? I know. This is what everybody's required. Proper nerve supply, exercise, nutrition. That means if man makes it, you don't eat it because you can't have neurotoxins. Sufficient rest and prayer and meditation, because an attitude of gratitude actually really does help. Now, I've got some flyers because, I mean, normally I have an assistant here, but right now I have an invisible cameraman and everybody else. But we've got coupons because, particularly in this month, we got to save lives because people are walking out there with nothing. I mean, 2 weeks ago we had a patient on Thursday from Canada, Texas, and Montana. And the guy from Montana he hadn't slept correctly in about, I think it was like 20 years. One adjustment, the next day he was sleeping. So people are coming in literally from all around the country. Grab a coupon and give it to a friend because we've got a 5-point disease check. And we're going to literally disease-proof your body to check and see how the nervous system is working right. And so it's not just us. I mean, we've got to look at this as our planet. Okay? That's why I make it easy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know. And then all of these are recorded. So please, Facebook us, share us. I mean, let's get the message out. Thank you.